All rise. Everyone again may be seated. All right, Mr. Land, let's resume.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Mr. Farnham, you, I think we were talking about being able to go to Mr. Neuman with, for advice or counseling, correct?
Yes.
And you said that you did so and discussed with him different issues you might be having at work, correct?
Right. Yes.
One of the things that you also mentioned was going on social outings with the team, correct?
Yes.
And do you recall a social outing to a Braves game?
Yes.
And that was in June, correct? Around June?
That's my recollection.
And these team outings were often had the dual purpose of supporting some charity, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, this one did, correct?
It did.
It was to support a foster home?
Yes.
And so some of those foster children got to attend, correct?
Correct.
And Hemy arranged for them to be able to run the bases and do other fun things at this outing, correct?
Right.
And arranging that type of thing, is that something extra that team leaders do, or is that a required part of their job?
Well, I think it's up to the leader. GE encourages that kind of commitment, to the area, to the community, and then it's up for the the individuals to engage or not, and Hemy did, and fully supported that and encouraged us to, throughout that time period that we were together.
Okay. You talked about the attending the Shiva, and you said that Hemy coordinated the group to go to the Sneiderman home, and he explained sort of the process of the Shiva, correct?
Yes.
And that was for the benefit of those who might not have been familiar with Jewish tradition, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you also mentioned that at the Shiva, during the formal ceremony, Hemy sat with the family. That was your recollection, correct?
That's what I recall.
Were there other GE employees who sat with the family during that?
I don't recall that.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Lord, he's made his witness to release and excuse from subpoena. Do you want him to remain under subpoena?
He can be released.
Any objection?
No objection.
So you're free, Judge. Thank you. Good day. Drive safe. All right, next witness. You're welcome.
Your Honor, state called Chris Lane.
You may. Chris Lane, I believe that's the name. Let's see what's here. Go ahead and have a seat for me. Go ahead and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear in front of the testimony shall give this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
May the Lord your hand. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Chris Lang, C-H-R-I-S-L-A-N-G.
Mr. Lang, how are you employed? What's your profession?
I'm a sales manager.
All right. Do you remember November the 18th of 2010?
I do.
All right. And how do you remember that?
I witnessed a shooting on November 18th, 2010.
All right. Where were you when you witnessed this shooting?
I was in the Dunwoody Pediatrics parking lot, had just dropped off my daughter for a well visit and was leaving with her, and started to put her in the car and basically my truck, and went around the parking lot, and that's where I witnessed what I did.
Okay, so you said you were taking your daughter to Dunwoody Pediatrics.
Correct. She had an appointment that morning.
Where in relation is Dunwoody Pediatrics to the Dunwoody daycare?
Right next door.
Right. When you say right next door, approximately how close?
I think the buildings adjoin. So where my car was and where the fence is at Dunwoody Prep, maybe 50 feet.
Okay. Would it assist your testimony if you could step down and draw a diagram of the parking lot?
Sure.
Your Honor, may the witness step down.
just,
Can you keep your voice up so the lawyers can hear everything you're saying?
yes, sir.
And the jurors?
Okay, so this is Mount Vernon Road, and here is the entrance to the off or the area where Dummy Prep is. So this road, I believe it's a divided road, and there's a parking lot here, and then right about here is the playground, I believe, for Dummy Prep. Dunwoody Prep is here, and then Dunwoody Pediatrics is basically here.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is just to label the different locations. So what road is this?
Okay, so this is Mount Vernon.
Right, and what are we talking about here?
This is the playground for Dunwoody Prep. This is Dunwoody Prep. And this is Dunwoody Pediatrics.
So where did you drop your daughter off at?
Okay, so if the front door of Dunwoody Pediatrics is here, my truck would have been here in the parking lot. This is the parking lot. And I took her into the pediatrician here for an appointment.
Okay, so when you left, and we'll go over this in more detail in a second.
Okay.
But let's fast forward just a little bit. Where did you witness the shooting? Where did the shooting take place?
So I left, came around this parking lot to go back out on Mount Vernon Road. So my truck would have been right about here, facing this direction. Rusty's car, I believe, would have been here, and that was the vantage point that I had to the shooting.
About far, because we can't tell distance here. About how far
Yeah,
away
this is maybe, again, maybe 40 to 50 feet.
Was it, what time of day was it?
First thing in the morning, nine-ish,
Okay.
9:15 maybe.
Okay. All right. You can go there and see.
Okay.
So let's sort of back a little bit. You indicated that you had taken your daughter to Dunwoody Pediatrics and you were leaving.
Correct.
All right. And you showed us a route that you took. So tell us what you saw.
Okay, so as I put my daughter into the car, and at that time, I believe I recall hearing a pop, something that I didn't at the time think would have been a gunshot, if you will, but it was enough to catch my attention. And I continued to put her in the car. I drove around the parking lot as I described, and as I stopped where my truck is on that diagram to turn left to go back out to Mount Vernon Road is when I heard another shot and looked up, and basically what I saw was Hemy standing over Rusty firing shots.
When you say standing over Rusty firing shots,
Yep.
what do you mean?
So he was maybe 5-7 feet away, holding the gun down, shooting.
All right. Your Honor, the witness could stand
Yes, sir. You
again.
may come down.
All right. If
If you can position yourself so that all the jurors can see him,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
please.
If you are the shooter,
Correct.
and, okay, and if I am the person that you saw shot, the person you said Rusty,
Correct.
okay, what would be the distance between the shooter and Rusty?
Maybe this.
That far away.
Correct.
All right. And how was Rusty positioned when you saw him?
Laying on the ground.
He was laying on his back or on his stomach?
On his stomach.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can stand if you need to see.
On his stomach, head facing you,
Head towards me.
head towards the shooter. All right. All right. And like as so.
Correct.
All right. And what was Mr. Neuman doing?
He was basically standing here, shooting, and then it stopped.
How many shots did you see while?
I recall maybe 2.
Okay.
You may proceed, ladies and gentlemen.
What happened after you, well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. Did you see the type of gun that he had?
I saw that it was a pistol.
Okay.
It did not look to be a revolver. It looked to be an automatic, semi-automatic pistol.
Okay.
Yep.
Were you able to make out anything on the shooter's face?
Yep, he had a very thick black beard. It looked as if he was wearing some kind of a hoodie cap to me, sweatshirt, and gloves.
All right. How did you respond when you saw the shooting? What did you do?
I paused for a moment. I'm assuming that I was collecting a few thoughts, and then basically turned left and went out to Mount Vernon Road.
Okay. After you turned left and went out to Mount Vernon, well, let me ask you that. Why did you leave? Why did you turn left and go out to Mount Vernon Road?
Well, I had seen Hemy go back to the van, the silver van that was parked in right. I don't know how to describe it, but so once I saw him turn and deliberately go back to the van is when I realized something had occurred that was serious.
Okay, so let me stop you there. You said you saw him go back to a silver van.
Correct.
All right. How did he appear? What was his demeanor, or what was the pace that he was walking with back towards the silver van?
Briskly, intentionally. He wasn't running. He was just walking back to the van with intent, and got into the van. And about the time he was getting into the van was the time I was turning left to go out of the parking lot.
Okay. Did you ever come back at some point?
I did.
Okay. Did you go away and come back, or did you pretty much stay on scene?
I went out on the Mount Vernon briefly and turned into Wells Fargo Bank, which
Yes.
is right on Mount Vernon in front of Dunwoody Prep. And I think I illegally went through that bank parking lot to come back to where Rusty was.
Okay. Describe the scene when you came back to where Rusty was.
So Rusty was lying next to the car. There were a couple of individuals present at the time. I basically rolled my window down and had a conversation with a gentleman who was acting, I think he was asking Rusty if he was okay. And that's when I had basically said, no, I don't believe he is okay. He's been shot. And then I then proceeded to go down in front of Dunwoody Pediatrics, and I believe there was a pharmaceutical rep or some rep outside. And
Let me stop you before you get any further.
Okay.
You talked about being there and near Rusty. About how close were you to Rusty?
a few feet. I drive an F-150, so I'm elevated,
Yeah.
and I was looking down onto Rusty.
How did he appear?
He appeared as if he were gasping for air.
Did you see blood?
Yes.
Where was the blood?
It was coming from underneath him down whichever way the parking lot sloped.
Running down the parking lot.
Correct.
All right. Go ahead.
So I stopped in front of the pediatrics office and saw the pharmaceutical rep or some visitor that was at the pediatrics office and pediatrician's office, and basically informed her that she needed to go and speak with Dr. Raffair, who is who my daughter had an appointment with that morning, and that we have a serious scenario outside and that we could use his help.
Did the doctor in fact go out?
He did.
Okay. Did you witness what the doctor did when he went out?
So in between that time that I requested for the doctor, I drove and I parked, and I did see Dr. Graffair with some of his nursing staff come out. There were some, I believe he had blood pressure cuff, a stethoscope, and he then knelt down next to Rusty and began doing things. I can't really, my view was shielded because Dr. Fair's back was to me, so I just knew he was assessing the situation and doing what he probably could to help.
Did you stay in, at any point did EMS arrive, or emergency services, I should say?
They did. I don't recall exactly when, but I basically stayed put. I figured someone would want to have a discussion with me, and so I just parked my truck and stayed put. But yeah, EMS as well as other police officers and officials were arriving the whole time.
Did someone arrive and have a discussion with you?
Yes, sir.
All right, did you give a statement?
I did.
At some point, did you speak with someone from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
I did.
And what was that conversation about?
I did a sketch, a police sketch, or a sketch of my recollection of what Hemy Neuman looked like.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness.
You may.
So I'm handing you what has been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 45. You could just take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that.
I do.
All right, is that in fact the sketch that you did?
It is.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the way Mr. Newman appeared on that day when you saw him in the parking lot?
It is.
All right, and that sketch was done by someone else, but according to your description?
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, the State would offer State's Exhibit number 45 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Without objection, they post it to the jury if you wish.
Is this in fact the sketch that you did with the GBI sketch artist?
Yes.
All right, when you talked about the beard, is that the beard that you saw?
Correct.
All right, what about the headdress, the hat?
The hat. Correct.
And that's what you saw as well?
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, if I may have just a second.
You may.
Nothing further at this point, Your Honor.
Mr. Land, is this going to be your witness?
It is, Judge, and I don't have any questions for him.
You say no questions?
No questions.
All right. Lawyers, may this witness be released and excused from the subpoena, or do you want him to remain on the subpoena?
No objection from the State.
No objection.
So you're free to go.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
At this time, the State calls Detective Jesus Maldonado.
Go ahead and have a seat, please. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you shall give this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead and repeat, state, and spell your name.
My name is Jesus Maldonado. It's J-E-S-U-S M-A-L-D-O-N-A-D-O.
Where are you employed, sir?
I'm employed with the City of Dunwoody Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Dunwoody Police Department?
Approximately 7 years, since 2009.
Okay, and in what capacity do you work for the Dunwoody Police Department?
I'm currently assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division.
Okay, does that mean you're a detective?
I am.
Okay, okay. Back in November of 2010, did you work for the Dunwoody Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and specifically on November 18th, 2010, were you on duty that day?
I was.
Okay, and are you post-certified? You're a
I am.
mandated officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain that to the jurors a little bit about what post-certification is?
In order to become a police officer, you'll have to go through a police academy. At the end of that academy, I went through a 400-hour academy. At the end of it, when you successfully complete it, you become certified to make arrests in your local jurisdictions and enforce laws.
So at that point, then you are a certified police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you have to do anything on an annual basis to maintain that certification?
Yes, we have to at least have 20 hours of training every year in order to keep the certification. Obviously, we do more. But
I'm sorry?
we obviously train more than 20 hours a year, but the minimum is 20.
20, okay. Okay. Now, going to November 18th, 2010, little after 9 o'clock in the morning, you said you were on duty. Where were you?
I was on duty. I was at the Dunwoody Police Department.
Okay. And where is the Dunwoody Police Department located?
It's located at 41 Perimeter Center East, Dunwoody, Georgia, 30346.
Okay. And are you familiar with Dunwoody Prep?
I am.
Okay, and about how far away is the Dunwoody Police Department from Dunwoody Prep?
I would say less than 3 miles.
Okay. So when you were at the Dunwoody Police Department back on November 18th, 2010, did you receive any information that you were needed at Dunwoody Prep?
I did.
Okay. Talk a little bit about that. How did that information come through?
There was a call that went out on the radio in reference to a person shot in the Dunwoody Prep parking lot. Was notified by my sergeant at the time, Gary Cordolino, who stated that detectives were needed to respond, and at which point I responded to the scene.
Okay. Now, were you in a marked police car or an unmarked police car?
I was in an unmarked police car in a white Ford Fusion.
Okay. And were you the first Dunwoody officer on the scene?
I was the first investigator on the scene.
Okay. Were there other uniformed patrol officers that had already made it to the scene by the time you got there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you recall approximately what time you arrived?
It was approximately about 9:30.
Okay. And when you arrived, can you describe a little bit for the jurors the basic layout of where Dunwoody Prep is located?
Okay. When I arrived, there is an entrance into the Dunwoody Prep parking lot that leads you straight. You drive in through the entrance, Dunwoody Prep will be on your left-hand side. There's a large brick wall surrounding a playground area that's attached to the prep school. That is the entrance that I arrived in. When I arrived, I observed a silver vehicle parked in front of the brick wall, and several police vehicles that were already present, marked police vehicles, as well as numerous EMS personnel.
Okay. And did you see what the EMS personnel were doing?
I did.
Okay. You could see that from where you were?
Yes, as I exited my vehicle and was walking towards the area, I could see the EMS personnel.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may.
Detective Maldonado, I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 47, 48, and 49 for identification. Can you please take a look at those and let me know if you recognize those?
I do recognize them.
And how do you recognize those?
Exhibit 47 is a photograph of...
Before we go into the details of the photograph, do you recognize those as being what you observed back on November 18th, 2010 of the EMS personnel treating Rusty Sneiderman?
Yes,
Okay. Do those photographs accurately depict what you saw that day?
they do.
Your Honor, at this time, State tenders State's Exhibits 47, 48, and 49.
Any objection?
No objection to 47.
All right, 47, 48, 49, admitted without objection, may publish it to the jury if you wish.
Detective Maldonado, are you able to see that on your screen there?
I am.
Okay. Now, would this be the angle where you were coming into the scene? Are we looking at it from your point of view?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me where what you're seeing in front of us here.
The silver vehicle that I described earlier, parked in front of the wall. Behind, on each side of the vehicle, are marked police cars, and the red vehicle there in the corner is the one of the DeKalb EMS vehicles.
Can you zoom in on the silver vehicle? Okay. Now, the EMTs, EMS personnel, they were already there when you got there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did any more arrive, or was everybody who was there already there by the time you got there?
I'm not sure if more arrived while I was there, but the people that were in this picture were already there when I arrived.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, did you take these photographs?
I did not.
Go ahead.
But do these photographs accurately reflect what you saw that day?
They do.
Okay. If you can zoom back out again. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this photograph, the brick wall that is in the photograph, what is that a brick wall? What does that wall go to?
On the other side of that wall is a playground that's attached to the Dunwoody Prep.
Okay. And the building that's here, that looking like reddish brown brick building, Is that, and it says with the sign there that says Dunwoody Prep, is that one of the buildings or part of Dunwoody Prep?
It is.
Okay. Going, now, did you walk up closer to the scene?
I did.
Okay. Can we go to the next photograph? Looking at State's Exhibit 48, can you explain to the jurors what we're looking at here?
It's a photograph of the EMS workers providing aid to the victim, Mr. Sneiderman.
Okay. And during the course that they were providing aid to him there at the scene, did he, from what you observed, was he responsive in any way?
He did not appear to be responsive.
Going to State's Exhibit 49. Next photograph. Can you explain to the jurors what they're looking at here with State's Exhibit 49, please?
It's a photograph of the victim, Mr. Sneiderman's chest area as well as neck area.
Okay. And what is of note with regards to this photograph?
There's blood on the, lots of blood on the neck area, as well as wounds on the center chest and lower chest above the abdomen.
Okay. Can you go to the first photograph? State's Exhibit, looking back at State's Exhibit 47. To your knowledge, were there children at Dunwoody Prep that day?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, were they inside or outside at this point?
I'm not sure if they were inside or outside during that time.
Okay. Did you see any, where you were out in the parking lot, did you see any children out in the parking lot at that point?
In the parking lot of where I was, I did not see any.
Okay. Did you see any at all, anywhere else?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Now, once you got to the scene, how long was Rusty Sneiderman there before they took him to the hospital while you were there?
It was only a few minutes. It was not long after I arrived that they took him away.
Okay. And did you do anything in relation to the scene there that day?
I assisted patrol with securing the scene by applying yellow crime scene tape around the parking lot area.
Okay. Could you explain why that's important?
We secured so that people, other non-law enforcement personnel, cannot come into the scene and possibly contaminate it.
Did you, were there other officers that responded from the Dunwoody Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have any other involvement there at the scene above and beyond securing the scene?
Was attempting to locate any witnesses that may have saw what happened.
Okay. Okay. And did you do that?
I did.
Did you find any witnesses?
I did.
Okay. Not going to ask you to go into what they said, but did you have any conversation with them?
I had a conversation with
Okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay. Now, to be clear, what county is Dunwoody Prep where this incident occurred? What county is that located in?
In DeKalb County.
Sure, may I have 1 moment?
You may. Any more questions, Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, at this time, I may put on the record, Your Honor, the state and the defense have stipulated to the authenticity of two exhibits, State's Exhibit 45 and State's Exhibit 46. They are both, 45 is the sketch. Sorry?
45 already.
We're going to call these 82 and 83. 80, okay. I take that back, Your
We're
Honor.
using counsel.
We are going to use 46 and 82. I apologize, Your Honor.
46 and 82.
Yes. Your Honor, the state is now tendering State's Exhibit 46 and 82. These are both stipulated videos with regards to the content of the video surveillance system from the Dunwoody prep. Defense has seen it. We've stipulated to it to their authenticity so that we don't have to lay a foundation and have a witness come in and say, yes, these are from Dunwoody prep.
Mr. Brown, is that your stipulation?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Well, based upon that representation, and Mr. Brown is concurring, items S46 and S82 will be stipulated into evidence at this point in time.
Thank you, Your Honor. And in that same vein, Your Honor, we have some still shots from these stipulated videos, which I believe are also stipulated, State's Exhibits 50, 51, and 52.
Mr. Brown, is that your stipulation?
It is, Your Honor.
It's 50, 51, 52.
Yes, Your Honor.
Still photographs. They're presented as evidence without further testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Based on that agreement.
Permission to publish those,
You
Your
may
Honor?
publish 50, 51, 52, or 46 or 82. all in one video.
Pull up one of the videos.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I was referring to,
You may.
thank you. Can you pause it here? Detective Maldonado, what are we looking at?
What
in-
item is on the screen there? Just for the record.
This is going to be video?
11/18/2010.
Okay. And do you see a timestamp on it?
Yes.
And what is the timestamp that is on it?
It's, 9/10/14 seconds.
Okay. And looking at this, again, are we looking at that same van that's in the video?
Yes.
Can you go to the next photograph, please? And Detective Maldonado, this is a still photo from State's Exhibit 46. Are we looking at that same van here?
Yes.
And then if you could go to the next one, please. Detective Maldonado, what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 52?
Still images of the silver van.
Okay. And these are all taken from the video from the Dunwoody Prep Daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, once you secured the scene and talked to a couple of witnesses, did you stay on the scene or did you go somewhere else?
I remained on scene.
Okay. And how long were you there on scene?
I don't remember. It was easily over an hour.
Okay. So did CSI come out to the scene?
They did.
Okay. And can you explain to the jurors a little bit about what is CSI?
They're crime scene investigators. Their job is to come in and secure any type of evidence that may be of value for the case, and to submit, to take digital photographs and gather up any DNA evidence, anything like that.
Okay. Now, is that part of your job or is that a whole separate position?
That is a whole separate
Okay.
position.
And were you present when CSI arrived?
I was.
Oh, questions I have, Your Honor?
Mr. Brown, you may cross-examine if you wish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Maldonado, I just have a few questions as a follow-up.
No worries.
Now, you had indicated that on the day in question, November 18th, 2010, that you were at Dunwoody PD, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it was through information you got from a sergeant that led you to actually go to Dunwoody Prep.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And when you arrived, I believe you said that uniformed officers were already on the scene.
That's correct.
Okay, as well as EMS in the photos that we saw.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to bring your attention briefly, if you remember, prosecution introduced a few photos indicating what you saw in the parking lot with EMS and various things, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember the one particular photo? May I approach, Your Honor? State's Exhibit number 49. Do you remember that photograph?
I do.
Okay. And was that the photograph that was the close-up of some of the injuries?
Yes, sir. It appears that way.
Okay. And what you can see from those photos were injuries on the torso, correct?
Yes, I saw. Yeah, injuries on his
His
chest.
stomach.
I guess. Yeah, that's his midsection.
Okay. Now, we talked about some of the various things that you did, including securing the scene.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You spoke to a few witnesses, took statements.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at any point did you come into contact with somebody that you later came to know as Miss Andrea Sneiderman?
I did.
Okay. Now, am I right that she arrived on the scene sometime after you got there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recall her driving a black SUV on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember her approaching the crime scene tape?
I do.
Okay. And you had some interaction with her?
I did.
Okay. And you come later to know that this is the wife of the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when she came to the scene and had contact with you, Was she crying?
She appeared to be distraught.
She appeared to be distraught.
Yeah, just,
Was she crying?
I did not see any tears.
Okay. Did you make any comments to her whether or not, well, excuse me, strike that. At the period in which she arrived, do you remember if the victim was still on the scene?
I don't recall if he was still at the scene at the time that she arrived or not.
You do not recall if he was still there?
Not, that's correct, sir.
Fair enough. Do you remember making any indication to Ms. Sneiderman about whether or not the victim was still on the scene?
Your objection relevance to what you
I'm
told us?
gonna give some latitude, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you remember if you made any comments to her regarding whether or not Mr. Rusty Sneiderman was still on the scene?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Thank you very much, Detective.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, you're on.
Lawyers, may this witness be released and excused from the subpoena, or do you want him to remain under subpoena?
Can you release, Charlie?
Any objections? No, Your Honor. You're free to go, Detective. Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Judge.
Drive safely. All right, next witness.
Charlie.
State Coast Dr. Craig Colemeyer. Go ahead and have a seat. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Craig Kohlmeyer, CraigKuhlmeier.
Craig Kohlmeyer, how were you employed?
I'm sorry?
How were you employed? What's your profession?
I'm a chiropractor.
You're a doctor?
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. Kohlmeyer, where do you live now?
Coral Springs, Florida.
And did you leave Florida this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you just get here a few minutes ago?
On Delta.
On Delta. All right. Let me ask you some questions about November the 18th of 2010.
Okay.
Let me do this. This would be a good point to actually stop. I mean, we're going to take a pause anyway, since you just got off the airplane. I know Delta, not because you had some challenges with their flights. Let me let you go ahead and come on out for a minute and give you some instructions.
Okay.
You can go step out. I'm going to go ahead and let the jury go for a bit of a break right now. Ladies and gentlemen, when I give you this break, do not discuss the case. Although anyone to discuss the case with you, do not remain on the fifth floor. If you do decide to have a meal here in downtown Decatur, like I mentioned before, don't sit next to anyone who may be discussing the case, or allow anyone to sit next to you who may be discussing the case. Either A, tell them to move away from you, or B, you got to tell, A, move away from them, or B, tell them to move away from you. Do not move upon the fifth floor, because I don't want you to interact, anyone you should not interact with, or hear anything you should not hear. Do not read or look at any media coverage pertaining to this case. Do not go upon the internet and do any research about this case. Do not go on the internet and do anything about this case. Do not blog or write about this case while it's ongoing. Do not go to any location that may or may not have been made reference to. All the evidence will come to you in the form of sworn testimony from this witness stand and or any evidence that's introduced during the course of the trial. You're more than welcome to bring something to snack and or eat with you during the afternoon session. We will follow a similar break schedule as we did in the morning session, so you are somewhat familiar with how we're going to do that. We're relatively short breaks, and you can be more welcome to refresh yourself at that point in time. Do not consume any alcoholic beverages during the lunch break. Deputy Garrett's going to turn back over to you your communication devices, and this is your opportunity to communicate with anyone you want to. Just make sure you put them in the off position, and you have been great about that. But that way they will not be going off during the afternoon session. As I said, you can make whatever arrangements you need to make. The lawyers and the parties cannot talk and interact with you. I don't ever want you to think they're being rude or discourteous. And We're gonna make a similar schedule as we did yesterday. We're gonna break at this point in time, where we're gonna reconvene at 1:30. Now, give yourself enough time. If you do leave the parking garage with your motor vehicle, you can park in the parking garage. You still have to come back to the metal detector. I have no idea whether or not there will or will not be a line in the front of the building, but just plan as if there may be a line. You have to come up to the 5th floor, so I just mentioned all those things. See, and I didn't think I saw earlier, it may have been raining earlier today. All the reason I mentioned it is just that when you're driving, as you probably remember here in Metro Atlanta, more people drive when it's raining, so it takes longer to get from point A to point B. I have not decided how late we will go today. The only reason I mention that now, that way during this particular break, you can go ahead and call and make arrangements just in case we get a little later today than we did yesterday. That way you don't have to send out a note telling you need to make phone calls. So make your phone calls if you want to. Communicate with anyone by text if you want to. Send emails during this time if you want to. The reason you have all this time is that you do all those things. You can go anywhere you want to go. Do whatever you need to do. As long as you're back here in that jury room at 1:30, that's the only thing that matters to me. Leave your notepads there in the jury room, turn the face down, put your numbers on, no one's going to look at your notes. And I will see you at what time? You're correct. At 1:30. We're recessed at 1:30. All rise. You may be seated.